Hello friends, so today's video is going to be a list of what I consider to be some of the best covers and editions of 2021, specifically for the science fiction fantasy genres. There are some requirements in order for a book or edition to be on this list. One, the edition has to have come out in 2021. I have to have read the book in order for it to appear on this list, so of course there's going to be so many others that I didn't read that are also fantastic. The reason it's also important that I've read them is because of requirement number 3, which is these books have to in some way, in my opinion, represent the book itself pretty well. And then last, I think the covers need to do their job in being eye-catching. Before I jump into my picks, definitely let me know what yours are. It'll be fun to see if we end up having some of the same ones on the list. This very first one, I don't know how many other people even know that it exists, but for me, I saw this and I was like, that's an amazing cover. It suits the book very well. The book is a retelling, so I think it suits what it's pulling from very well, and it's just gorgeous. And that would be the UK Waterstones edition of Ariadne. As the title would imply, this follows the character Ariadne from Greek mythology. It's not really a type of story where the main mythology is changed all that much. It's more just fleshed out a little bit more. And so I actually found the characters to be pretty darn frustrating, but honestly, it's because they make some really bizarre decisions, and I think that the author was holding true to that pretty well. So for me, what I like is I now have a novel version of this story from Greek mythology, and I want the cover to reflect that. I want the edition to reflect that. And I just think that this does so perfectly. So there are aspects of the story that are in the artwork, and I think this also right here perfectly captures the Greek feeling, as well as the border around the edges here. And in general, this is just absolutely gorgeous. I wish you could see it in person if you've not seen it in person yet, because the way it captures the light is beautiful. You can feel the cover. It's not flat. So I think that adds a little bit of dimension. Also on the inside, we have Ariadne dancing. I think that the spine is also very, very, very beautiful. So Waterstones edition, fantastic job. The regular UK edition is also beautiful, but I'm always a sucker for white with pops of color. This is technically more of a cream, but I just think this is beautiful. The kind of book that even if you didn't love it, you'd be like, oh, but it's so pretty. Next up on the list, and a book that I think has made so many people's best of, because this artwork, before we even read it, before anybody read it, I think we saw this cover and we're like, whoa, and it's just so cool. It's kind of the opposite. Ariadne, it's a beautiful cover, but I don't go like, whoa, that's awesome. I look at this cover and I think, whoa, that's awesome. And that would be Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. One thing I especially love about this cover is the way it wraps around. So the artwork itself goes across the entire cover. So when you see the whole piece, it just is so cool. It's just an amazing piece of artwork that ended up on the cover of a book, which is amazing. And then also the sequel that's coming out has a very similar look to it. And I love, 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 love when there's a general aesthetic from one book to the next in a series. So I love that they're doing that. And also, I just think it captures the Norse feel, the Nordic feel, I should say. It captures it perfectly in this. I mean, it's a Viking feel, but the lore in the story definitely has these massive creatures. And so while you're reading, you're envisioning this cover, which is fantastic, because I think there was a trend for a while where the covers would look cool, but you'd be reading and you're like, is that supposed to be the main character? That's not how they're described, or the thing that's on the cover never really comes into play in the book, and that can be kind of strange as a reader, I think. And I like that nowadays we either see a scene from some of our fantasy books, or, like I said with this, the lore of it is captured very well here, and there's a little tiny person down there, which I think just makes for this very epic feel in the cover, and I think that the book itself has a very epic feel. So I think it captures the mood of the story very well. It's eye-catching, it's cool. So yeah, this one, can't say enough good things. Absolutely love it. Switching gears and getting back into the very pretty editions, we have 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I also want to highlight the Fairy Loot edition, but not just the Fairy Loot edition of this book, but also the release of the other duology, the Blood of Stars duology by the same author, because they all go together. So I wanted to talk about all of them. This is the regular UK edition. For a not special edition and just This just happens to be the UK edition. This is the most beautiful normal edition of a book, because I do have some more special edition type of books on this list today. But this is just a regular book, and the colors that they chose are so pretty. I know I keep using the word pretty. Like I said, very different from Shadow of the Gods, which is just pure awesomeness. Whereas this is just like, oh, the pastel colors, so beautiful. The cranes are gorgeous. The spine is so pretty. This is a gorgeous edition all on its own, but like I said, I wanted to highlight the Fairy Loot edition. Altogether, this is what the Fairy Loot editions look like. Spin the Dawn, Unravel the Dusk are part of that duology. Like I mentioned, Six Crimson Cranes technically takes place in the same universe, so I love that they went with a similar look. They're all these various shades of kind of pink and purple, which are so pretty, and I feel like I'm glad that we're embracing pinks in covers, because I don't know, they look nice, you know? Pink is a color too. Like Saga's got an awesome color. I've seen the Leviathan Wakes edition that's come out. It's very pink. I know it's not everybody's favorite, but I like that we're embracing all the colors. For a long time, it just seemed like everything was red in fantasy, and I'm glad that we're branching out and doing other things. But getting back to this, so technically the UK editions also came out for this duology, but I figured I'd go ahead and tie it with Six Crimson Cranes and kind of have it be all one. So you have these, which in the Fairy Loot editions, there's the purple and pink, but the regular editions have more blues. They're beautiful as well, though I don't think there's a hardback version currently. I think it's just paperback. But another detail I really love is on the pages, you have these designs here, as well as the sprayed edges on the bottoms and the tops. And then for Six Crimson Cranes, I know some people thought that there were 7 cranes. I promise this bottom one is not a 7th crane. It's slightly different. If you read the book, you know what it is, which tying back into, do the details tie into the book? Yes, they do. I think it captures the inspiration of these stories very well, the characters, what the stories are entailing. So I think they capture everything really well, as well as being beautiful. But in general, I just think that these go so well together. They look so nice on the shelf. Fantastic special edition, as well as just a fantastic regular edition. I mentioned a second ago that I'm glad we're embracing more than just reds in fantasy covers. And then I am going to show a cover that's just basically red and black. So it's kind of classic, but I think it works. And that would be the illustrated Witcher edition. I'm absolutely biased because I love Witcher, but this edition is the edition I have been waiting for, and they better keep releasing this series with these illustrations, because oh my gosh, I have been waiting for a fantastic Witcher set in English for so long. Obviously it's illustrated, so there's that plus to this, and it just, I think, perfectly captures Witcher for both the fans of the books and the fans of the video games. This, you see this and you instantly know that's Witcher. So it does its job in representing the book itself. I think that even though the red's a pretty standard color in fantasy, the way that they have those little details around, and the way that the color red they chose, and the almost silhouette, but you can kind of see details, just the artwork of the cover, I think is absolutely amazing. And, you know, it's illustrated. So really quick, I just want to show, there's a quote here under the sleeve. And then we also have this amazing part right there, illustrations. So yes, like I said, I'm biased, but I don't know. I think this is still a pretty great cover. Next up is a book that not only do I think this book went under people's radars, but I think that this cover and the author's illustrations that are in the book have definitely been going under the radar, and they're fantastic. I think they deserve to be hyped, and that would be Little Thieves. This is a Goose Girl retelling, but it's from the antagonist's point of view. I think that alone is captured very well on this cover. The first time I saw this cover, I already thought fairy tale vibes, which that's what it is. It's a retelling. But because it is the retelling of the antagonist's point of view, I think that it has a slightly darker, more eerie look to it. And the details that are here with the necklace, this particular being, these beings, all well representing the book itself. So I absolutely love that. I think the colors they chose are very interesting, and she of course stands out so much by being red with the backdrop of these other colors. I love the details here in where the title is. In general, I think it's a fantastic cover. And then, like I said, there are illustrations in this book. It's not considered anywhere that I can see an illustrated edition, but there's a fair amount of illustrations that the author did, and they're very good. That just made for, it just felt more fairy tale like. I think there's a lot of, I I shouldn't say a lot, but nowadays you'll see something like Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo, which is sort of the lore within a fantasy world, and they'll have it be its own collection of short stories or its own book in some form. And this, for me, it's like it captured that within its own novel. I just think it feels a little extra special, and I just wanted to give a shout out because I enjoyed this book. I think a lot of other people would probably like this book also, but the cover and the illustrations on the inside, I think, deserve all the love. The next one would be this edition that came out in 2021. The books themselves didn't, but I like the Witcher Illustrated Edition. I had to include it because all of the work that was put into this edition is absolutely incredible. I did a whole unboxing when I got these, so if you want to see a little bit more of it, I'll have that there, but the Litjoy Crate, Strange the Dreamer, and Muse of Nightmare editions are fantastic. So these covers, this artwork is great, but I gotta say it's the back of the book for me that really does it, because the artwork on the back has just the best. I mean, I've always described this as feeling like a grim fairy tale because it's very, very dark and very heavy, and the themes are very tragic at times, but also there's this sense of hope throughout the book and this theme of compassion. And where I'm going with all of this is I just think that the backs of these books capture that very over-the-top, bizarre, whimsical type of feel that Laini Taylor's writing has. I think it's captured on the backs. Plus, we all love, I know so many of us love, when the artwork is printed right on the hardback and not on a sleeve. So love that about these. Also, we have this beautiful silver that is truly exceptionally shiny. I know some editions, they're kind of a silver color. This one truly is that, oh, you can see it so well in the light. I'm so glad it's capturing it because it's so shiny. The inside as well has illustrations as well as this artwork when you first open it up, and it's annotated by Laini Taylor. Just all around, such an amazing job done on these editions. The best. Next up, we have The Witch's Heart. Really quick, I'd like to hold up Ariadne, which we talked about earlier, next to Witch's Heart, because I think when I'm talking about the way a book, the way its cover represents the story, I think you can very quickly see what I'm talking about with these two, because this one follows Angrboda, Loki's wife, and therefore is Norse mythology inspired, whereas this one, like I mentioned, is Greek inspired, and I think it's captured in the art styles very, very well, even though both of them look like they're based on a mythology, which I love. They look specific to the mythology they're inspired by. So I wanted to mention that detail. Also, there are things captured in the cover here that I think are great for, if you don't know the tale, I don't want to ruin why these details are so well done in the cover, how they represent the book so well, but I think they do. I think her expression as well is just very fitting for the story, is eye-catching. I think you see this in the font and everything as well as the design. It kind of pulls you in. It's not very loud. I think some of the other covers, they're so beautiful or they're so cool, and this one's a little bit subdued, where it makes you want to be like, what's this? And you just kind of want to open it up and read the synopsis. Next up would be another special edition, and that would specifically be for Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. The regular edition is cool, but I just think the special edition, as a special edition should be, is a little bit of a step up, a little more than a little bit. It is quite a step up. It is a very cool edition. And there's aspects to it that while this just looks like a cool book, I do think it captures a lot of what's going on in the story very well. The main character in the story is a part of a group of nuns who protect the world from spirits who long to linger within the world. And so it has a sort of darkness to it. It's definitely a great book for the fall season, but also we get this Joan of Arc type of story in there as well. And I think that this captures that very well. It's got this almost religious look to it while having some other aspects that feel very fantastical. So I really like that. It also has this sort of old looking color to the paper. It's printed right on the hardback. There's a quote on the back, which I think is great. There's a ribbon. I know a lot of us love that. And when you open it up, there is artwork both here and in the back of the book. So just in general, I think a fantastic edition. The last two are probably not my absolute favorite covers on this list, but they absolutely, I think, capture the book very well, and I think they are very eye-catching. And it's not that the artwork is bad by any means, but I think it's gonna be a little more, it has to be your taste, and that would be Mask of Mirrors and For the Wolf. So For the Wolf is a sort of half romance, half fantasy story. It's also a combination of Little Red Riding Hood and Beauty and the Beast. I've talked about it quite a bit, and I think that the cover captures that perfectly. Also, similar to Little Thieves, the way that the red pops so strongly against, in this case, it's more of a teal color rather than just a true blue. I think that it's captured very well. I like the iciness here in the forest, so I think it represents the book exceptionally well. And then we have Mask of Mirrors, which I think is a fantastic cover. I think it's great. It does its job in catching your attention right away. The artist, all of these details, amazing. So the artwork is fantastic as well. There is a sequel that's out, and I think they complement each other very nicely as far as covers go. And while this isn't an exceptional edition, it's not hardback, it doesn't have anything really extra to it, this cover, it's gonna snatch your attention. And also, I just want to say, it captures the book, the feel, the aesthetic of the book. It's got kind of almost this Venetian city feel to it. And is that not absolutely perfect in the cover? That's exactly what you're gonna get. I don't think I look at this and go, oh, this is probably like medieval Europe inspired. No, you don't. I don't anyway. Maybe you did. But when I look at this, what I think is exactly what I felt the vibe was of the book. That's it for my list of best covers / editions for 2021. Like I said, let me know your favorites of the year. Were some of the ones that you loved on my list? Were there some that I missed? Because I always love and appreciate a great cover, so I'd love to check out some more. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.